Shalom to you, like giving all praise and honor, glory to you. How about Shem El Shai, Bashem Kakadash, and giving double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who well. Peace and salutation to you, like Shem El Mappa is a Mappa from the Great Millstone. Plaintables can't look at it here in the city of Philadelphia. I'm the Mighty Mike. Come a lesson, little hard we lesson. You have the topic of the UK or United Kingdom to ban public preaching streets. Okay, on streets, that is. Okay. This one, you got this other Jake. So, let's just get into it. Fair use warning, I don't own any of this footage, but this is being used for educational journalism purposes only. Fair use warning.
Alright people, and welcome back. And if you know anything about the UK right now, Jane Smith probably said it best.
Can we talk about like the political and economic state of the world right now?
But this came up on my timeline, and I can't lie, it needs to be talked about because, just in general, it kind of opposes everyone's freedom of speech.
When the headline begins with a Labour council, you know it's not going to be a great headline. Labour council seeks to imprison street preachers up to 2 years for, quote, causing offence and distress, end quote.
2 years is crazy.
Christians to be criminalised for handing out Bibles, praying for, or laying hands on people. Let's see what else it says. So, Rushmore Borough Council, covering Farnborough and Aldershot, has faced accusations of attempting to criminalise Christians for preaching, praying and distributing Bibles in public spaces. The council initially applied for the injunction in February. Oh, so they've been trying it. They've been really trying it, citing complaints about noise, public disruption and distress.
Where's Rushmore Borough Council? It's no disrespect, yeah? No disrespect. That's got to be down south. Rushmore.
You sound like he Welsh. He most likely a Jake, by the way. No, the speckled bird is like foreigner. All right.
There we go. Ooh, 2.3-star rating as a council. Says it all, really, doesn't it?
You sound like you from like Liverpool or something. Let me see.
Caused by street preachers under proposed terms, Christians. So I'm getting what? Why is it only citing Christians there? Would be banned from praying, individuals without prior consent, handing out religious leaflets and Bibles by hand and laying hands on people in prayer, even with permission, according to the Telegraph. So, again, why is this only targeting, I'm guessing the town might be made up of, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, this one. Let's have a look and see what else it says. So after an intervention by the CLC, street preachers represented by the legal group have managed to temporarily halt the attempts. The council also...
Say you can't pray for someone who gives you permission, right? Right. If I'm looking at it from a balanced point of view, if you're walking around just grabbing people praying for them, alright, yes, don't do that. But if you ask someone, yo, do you want prayer? Yeah, you want prayer for something? And they go, yes. And then the government says you can't do that. Yo.
postponed.
And that's just pretty much Esau Edom really outlawing these scriptures and coming after the true prophets, because just because you're a Christian, okay, in the sense of how the world sees it, not as what the scriptures say, which to a Christian, we were called Christians in Antioch, and they were Hebrew Israelites, okay. Most of those people that are claiming to be Christians, they're not that, and many of those people, they do start disturbances. All right, if you watch some of them different street preachers, that hand out leaflets and such. We talking about, those. Like I said, I could pull up some. They got these little ministries like, hey, you have like Jesus the Word. It's bringing about, a lot of confusion and false doctrine. Well, Esau don't want that no more. All right, he don't want nobody out there. Okay, because really, since the prophets have came on the scene, that has brought a great uproar, within this world, and has brought his downfall. So this is Acts chapter 11 and 26. And when he had found him, he brought him into or unto Antioch, and it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church and taught much people, and the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch. Okay, and in these days came prophets from Jerusalem into Antioch. Okay, so you have the prophets. Okay, you have the true Christians, the disciples. Okay, which are Israelites. Go into that word for Christians. You got to go into really who are the anointed ones. Okay, and the ones that were made holy and anointed is of course, the nation of Israel. All right, the children of the Most High. Okay, anointed, going back to Christos, right? Okay, you have it. The actual Greek word is Christianos, and they have a follower of the Hamashiach, the anointed one. Okay, but you have it. They are the Israelites. Okay, and are the Israelites of today. Okay, so now you go into this more, like I said, mentioned, and since the prophets have came on the scene, it has brought the end of this captivity. The fall which we're seeing of Esau, Edom. So give me one moment. And this is Malachi chapter 4 and 5. And it says, "Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord." Okay, and the Lord sent a man by the name of Abibians, who he raised up to bring out this truth, to the children of Israel. All right, which are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and the Americans. And with that, more prophets was raised up. All right, and came back in their reincarnation and have raised up the rest of the believers. Okay, it says, "And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, the minds, and the children of the in the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse." Okay, and through, of course, this truth, we have knowledge of our forefathers being the Hebrew Israelites. Okay, all right, the true Christians. All right, and we started to inquire into our customs and our laws. All right, as the scriptures say in Job 8 and 7. It says, "Though thy beginning were small, yet thy latter end should greatly increase." All right, and we know that we're gonna have abundance. When it starts first with this knowledge. Okay, the truth setting you free and making you free. Job 8 and 8 says, "For inquire, I pray thee, for the former age, prepare thyself to the search of their fathers." Okay, and this Bible is a living book. All right, they say sticks and stones may break my words, but words will never hurt me. Well, why does these words stir up so many people? Maybe it's because it's a living book, and the words are as a fire. All right. So they don't want that out there, of course, with the true prophets. The regular common day Christian, he may, bring up some different things, things that are abominable. But they don't bring out all this knowledge, this truth, this understanding as we do, and what they really are looking at. Okay? Get another scripture real quick. This is Jeremiah chapter 5 and 14. It says, "Wherefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, because ye speak this word, behold, I will make my words, in thy mouth fire." All right, and this is to the prophets. Okay, you've done it for Jeremiah. Jeremiah has come back in his proper stead. Okay. And if a word is as a fire, it actually consumes a person, okay? Mentally, all right, spiritually, okay? The person, whole day is ruined. We've seen people come to the camp and whole days are ruined because they had an interaction with what we speak, okay? And we, like I said, we may not even, like I said, we're talking, as amongst ourselves. Right? When people don't see nobody there, so they seem as if we're talking amongst ourselves. But we just speaking this holy vibration, speaking a new song, and people just still irked by that. They don't want to hear this. They're getting burned up and consumed just by the sight of the prophets. It says, "And this people would, and it shall devour them." Okay, and it even devours, a lot of our people that are wicked. Okay, the 2/3 here in America, wicked Israelites across the world, that the Lord is devouring with this word, okay? The rest of Esau and the rest of the heathen, okay? So, this is, back to this. So I wanted to check it out for myself. Labor Council seeks to imprison street preachers up to 2 years for causing offense, distress. All right, Christians to be criminalized for handing out valuables, praying, or laying hands on people. Okay, Labor Party in the United Kingdom, will be as your patrician party, in ancient Rome, okay? The more rich and the landowners as such than the common house of commons, all right? You got the House of Lords, the upper house over there, okay? Got the conservative that'd be, right? And you got the Unionists or the Labor Party to be more 100%, right? And you have the House of Common, which they'll go about, within their parliament and bring about different laws and such, and the House of Lords come, just to go into this, for some that don't know the UK government, the House of Lords is the upper house. That's like your Senate, all right? So, if you have somebody being as a lord, they being as a overseer, masters and such, okay? House of Lords is the upper house of Parliament in the UK. like the lower house, the House of Commons. It meets in Palace of Westminster in London, England, one of the oldest extant institutions in the world. Its origins lie in the 11th century when Israelites ruled, and the emergence of bicameralism in the 13th century. All right. They examine bills, questioning government action, investigate public policy. Okay, just to give you some. Scrutinize legislation, holds government account, and considers the reports upon public policy. Peers may also introduce legislation or propose amendments to bills. All right, changes. Both houses obviously have to agree on the final text of a bill, all right, before it can be signed off by the monarch, all right, and become an act of parliament, which is law. All right, so just going into it a little bit more. Slock, if anything, was misspoken, here. But members examine each bill line by line, so, they will have to know what's going on because the prophets are in all cities, and you have it, are in the major cities across the world, that the Lord wants them to be in. All right, in Agora, and, hey, like this guy, he's more so concerned about the particular, city or town. It's beyond that. They're shooting, as the scriptures say. It says in Psalm 64:4, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. Okay, and they shoot in secret at the Hebrew Israelites, particularly the hopeful elect, okay, because the elect is going to have that faith, all right. They're going to be the one that, have what? Integrity, all right, and are covered, of course, through Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai grace, all right, on this side, okay, and going to be, of course, delivered. All right. You have it. The whole nation of Israel, would be the perfect, but most of our people are not living integral. All right, to Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai. Instead, they're going about and they actually go against this preaching and this word. They say it's hate. That's another reason why they don't want the prophets out there. But you have a secret counsel of the wicked. Psalms 64:2, it says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, the Edomites, all right, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. And within these various laws, which they examine law line by line, there's going to be, some bitterness, within it, because it's unpleasant to be put in handcuffs by, of course, the council enforcers, all right, the slave patrol, and basically seem as if you're evil, all right, when you're not. This is Isaiah 29:21, and it says here, for the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off. Pardon. It says that make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. All right. And then we are those ones that's by Sha'ir in the city, are in the gate, the gate that is in the gate. That's the entrance, the marketplace, the public meeting place. Hey, we are there. The prophets are there. Okay, so that subjects us to this because a Labour Party run council in England has sparked outrage by proposing a sweeping injunction that could imprison Christian street preachers for up to 2 years over claims of causing offense or distress. All right, and this Rushmore Borough Council, all right, covering Farnborough and Aldershot, has faced accusation of attempting to criminalize Christians for preaching and praying and distributing Bibles in public spaces. All right, but we know ultimately, this is a thing that will be globalized. Okay. So, that's what it is. Okay. They said that another complained that hearing religious message had ruined their day. See, so exactly what I'm saying, like through the spirit. All right, because we can discern these spirits. We know that when they walk by, they got these weird looks on their face. Okay, which as we do know through the scriptures, it tells you that the countenance, this is Sirach chapter 37 and 17, the countenance or your face, or punya in Hebrew, is a sign of changing of heart. Okay? And we can see the change in the face when people walk by. They may have silly smirks on their faces. They might put their heat down. They might rush by. Walk in the middle of the street, but it ruins their face, and they hear the word. And we cover all different types of topics. We covering the fall of Babylon, America, Esau's whole system. Okay, and Esau don't want to hear that. Okay, the council, the Labour Party don't want to hear that. The whole Commons don't want to hear that. Okay. They're anti-Hamashiach, they anti-Christ, are being against the anointed one. Okay? It says there's a fracturing of the understanding of what Christian faith is across the land. For the first 19 years of my life, I was against God, but my life was completely changed. I know it is like to be on the other side. I know people can change their minds and find hope. That's why I do what I do, added a preacher. All right, and that's what this particular guy is saying. But as this particular Christian preacher is stating, he's saying that the gospel is not my idea. I am obedient to the Most High. One preacher said, defending their right to share their faith publicly. And hey, we've been called to this work. But we are to raise up the elect. That's why we out there, to take the blood off our own hands, and such as it tells you in Ezekiel, I believe the 33rd chapter. It says, and again, the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak to the children of thy people, and say unto them, when I bring the sword upon a land, if the people of the land take a man of their coast and set him for their watchman, if when he seeth the sword come upon the land, he blow the trumpet and warn the people, then whosoever heareth the sound of the trumpet and taketh not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be on his own head. If he heard the sound of the trumpet and took not warning, if blood shall be upon him. But he taketh warning shall deliver his soul. All right, and you see us out there as the watchmen, okay, for the house of Israel. All right, and you can read down and just go into it. This gospel leads to life, okay, deliverance. All right, repentance, okay, that we preach. Okay, we can only speak for ourselves, and hey, it speaks out against many, as they say, many countries. It said like Jeremiah, I believe that is. This is Jeremiah chapter 28:8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. And we are prophesied against, the many countries. Okay, for the different iniquities, the sins that Esau Edom has done. The robbing, the stealing, the murder. Okay, hidden things this man do. We're against it. Okay, which the Lord is against it. All right, which against is ill. All right, in Hebrew. All right, or ill, or il, which is against right there. All right. So, this is what it is, and of course, uproars do happen when the prophets go out, and has happened, in the ancient times. So, that's what it is. I was gonna get a scripture. Giants broke out with prophets. Spoke. No. Trying to get this. Oh. This is Acts 20:1. And then we go pretty much close up. Acts 20:1. And this is direct. All right, it says here, and after the uproar was ceased, Paul called unto him the disciples, embraced them, and departed for to go into Macedonia. Okay, you can maybe read a chapter back when he was in Ephesus. Okay, and it says in verse I think 40. You can go into it, but I'm gonna call it a lesson real quick. Maybe I'll do another lesson on it more, and we see what it is. These draconian laws coming, and we just gotta understand the persecution. All right, so say many shall be cast into prison. So we know These prophecies are very soon to come to pass. So, I said, to the Spirit, shalom to the elect.